My name is Dr. Kevin Pecca. I wanted to make a podcast that exposes people to the true miracles of life and health. All the guests on this show have been specially picked because they bring something positive to the world. They have some of the most amazing and inspiring life stories. These people have a passion for living, healing, and leaving the world better than they found it. There is something inside these people that made them keep fighting through all the tough times, even when people told them it was not possible. They carried on and made their lives beautiful again. And now they are sharing their experiences with the world. This is the Expect Miracles podcast. Enjoy the show. Dr. John Murray is a principled chiropractor out of Clinton, New Jersey. He has been around the profession for many years and still has the energy and enthusiasm as when he first started out. He serves as many people as he can, he gets sick people well, and it all comes from a true place of healing. He also teaches the fundamentals of Tai Chi to help rebalance the nervous system through movement. He is an inspiration to me on the art of chiropractic, and I'm excited to have him on the podcast today. Please welcome Dr. John Murray. So, Dr. John, where are you from?
I'm from Clinton, New Jersey. Grew up here my whole life, pretty much.
Nice. And what were you into growing up as a kid?
Hunting, fishing, dirt bikes, stuff like that kind of things, always outside. We had a great place growing up in the 70s. It was 60s and 70s were an awesome time.
I see a lot of surfing pictures on your walls, too, in your office. Do you surf a lot?
I don't surf as much as I used to, but I'm going to get back into it now that my daughter's in my practice with me, and we're going to look to bring in one other doctor, and then I'll have more time.
That's beautiful, yeah. So, Doc, how did you get into chiropractic?
Chiropractic came to me more than I went to it. I mean, I think I was chosen to be a chiropractor. I had never been adjusted. I had no plans for college. And my mother...
So you're in high school at this point?
I graduated high school in June of 1975. And my aunt's husband was a student at Palmer College. And he happened to come home about 2 weeks after I got out of high school. He adjusted me, and I didn't know what he was talking about. He just said, "Do you want me to check you?" I said, "Well, sure. Why not?" So he adjusted me, a student giving me a diversified adjustment, and changed my life. It just felt right. It wasn't amazing. An intellectual decision. I just knew it was the right thing to do. I had no plans for college. I was going to join the Marines at the end of the summer. So my life just went a different way. So it was an innate decision, just, it was in my heart to do it. So 2 weeks later.
That is unbelievable how that happens.
Yeah, happens a lot. I mean, it happens a lot to people. I always told my kids growing up, just be open and receptive to what comes to you. Just be open and receptive. And within 2 weeks, I'm driving down to Atlanta, Georgia to a DE seminar in 1975. So I'm 17 years old, just got my first adjustment. 2 weeks later, I'm in DE. Sid Williams is up there and all these guys in their leisure suits and Rolexes and talking about how the power that made the body heals the body, serving for the sake of serving. So I came away with there, and it all was congruent with my upbringing. My father always said, try to help people without looking for stuff in return. Just do the right thing. You'll be rewarded in life.
Yeah.
And that's panned out so far for me, but that was verified and confirmed at DE. So I don't know what they were talking about, but it all felt good. And from there, we drove up to Davenport, Iowa.
Beautiful. And
I enrolled in probably the only college that would take me a little. At the time, it was Palmer Junior College.
Yeah.
It was a night school. It was a short window, so that existed.
So you were getting all your prerequisites and everything to get into Palmer College.
Yep, right there at Palmer Junior College. At that point, I only needed 60 credit hours. I didn't do a BS. I didn't do anything. I knew I was going to be a chiropractor, so I didn't want to take all the other stuff.
Yeah.
So I took what I needed, and I enrolled in Palmer College, and my life changed drastically from there even.
Now, John, what do you think that is? Because that happens to people on a daily basis where something changes their life, and you could either go two ways. You can follow it, or you can say, wow, that was amazing, and continue on with whatever you were doing.
Yeah, I mean, we can get bogged down in our educated mind and judge things. Okay, that was good, but, they don't want to take a chance. They don't want to take a risk. For me, I was 17. What the heck? It's an adventure.
Yeah.
And even now in my life, I know it's an adventure. When something seems right in our office, we move on it.
Yeah.
We move on it. If it seems right, like for my good friend Freddie Schofield, we call that mochichu, moving forward without hesitation. So yeah, we get bogged down, self-doubt, fear of the unexpected. So that's why we have to work on what we think so much, because we seldom give ourselves a pat on the back anyway. And we got to work on that. So I think that if we listen to our hunches, B.J. Palmer said, heed your hunches. He talked about that. Behind every success is someone who's uninhibited. Behind every failure is someone who is inhibited. So when you get those innate hunches, you just got to rock with them and go with them. And I would have to say the biggest decisions in my life were all done not on an educated level, not on a matter of checks and balances.
Well, neither were BJ's. The guy had no formal education, and he was, I mean, in my opinion, one of the smartest people to ever live on this planet. And the guy had no formal education. He just went with his gut instinct and innate with every decision he made.
Yeah, he did, and it worked out. And I really think that we can get bogged down in not following our hearts. I mean, I had 3 big goals coming out of chiropractic school, but they weren't written down. And that's the key to anybody listening, and especially a student, or if you write down your goals and read them consistently. I had 3 big goals coming out of chiropractic school. The first one was I was not going to get married till I was 30. And then the second one was going to have a Porsche. And then I was going to have a condo. And I never wrote them down. I got married at 23 and I never had a condo or a Porsche. So write your goals down.
That's funny.
But they panned out.
Oh, it all panned out. Yeah. I walked into your office 2 weeks ago and I was absolutely blown away with your office, your enthusiasm for the profession. You have more enthusiasm for what you do than almost everybody I graduated school with that's fresh out. And it's like it's brand new to you, and it's infectious, and you can feel it when you're getting adjusted by you, and it's just an amazing thing to see. And one of my favorite things about your practice is it's literally attached to your house. So you walk downstairs in the morning and you're ready to go, and I think that's the best thing ever.
It's worked out well. That was another innate decision as well. But, you know, it's an honor to have you come to our office. I mean, you're a tremendous adjuster. I mean, you have an understanding of chiropractic that far and exceeds so many that have been in practice for many years. So that's a big thing, is staying fired up as you go through this thing. How do you stay fired up? And it comes back to me in my life that chiropractic gave me a choice. It gave me a choice at a time, that a pivotal point in my life. And I remember that every day with every patient, is that we're here to give them choices. If we give them choices in life, there's nothing worse than feeling like you don't have a choice. And we provide that for people, an awesome choice, an awesome alternative. And you make a huge difference. You're going to change thousands of lives, and you don't always hear about it, but giving people choice, that's what gives me my sustainable stoke, I should say. Some guys get into it just for the money. I didn't even know. My friends were all going to college, to Columbia University and Duke and all these places. I didn't even take SATs.
Yeah.
But anyway, their questions all the time were, how much are you going to make?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I like this stuff.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the key.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I noticed that my practice does the best when my intention is helping as many people as I can. And then obviously with that, the money follows. And then when you start thinking about how much money am I going to make this week, the other side kind of gets away. And so I've learned to put myself in a place where, how can I help as many people as possible this week? And the money will always follow that, because that's the second most, that's not the important thing. It's getting sick people well. That's right. And you'll be rewarded. And one of the things I heard at that first DE was Dr. Sid talking about, you got to have a business hand and you have to have a service hand. Mm-hmm. And the two can't know what the other's doing, really. Yeah. So you just got to go in there and adjust. I don't know what the girls handle, the front desk girls. We have systems in place for the business so that I can just go. You can do your thing and do my thing. And we work it out with, we'll never turn anybody away, but you got to show a commitment, right? Show that commitment and still make enough money so that, you know, you can run a business and do all that too, and raise your families and save for your retirement. And so it's all about balance. Yeah. So, John, did you get all your prerequisites done? Was it a struggle, or did it just come easy because you were determined to get everything done? Well, I was determined. I mean, even though I didn't apply myself as much as I could in high school, but I taught myself to study more or less. Mm-hmm. I'd work nights. I worked midnight shift as a security guard while I was doing that for 2 years. Wow. And I was also started playing rugby at Palmer College. I started playing rugby on the rugby team, and rugby changed my life in a dramatic way as well. But I just taught myself to study, and what I realized is that if you work at things, you'll be rewarded. I'm not going to be Usain Bolt, but if I train and I run, I can be faster than a lot of guys. Yeah. If I work my brain, I can accomplish what a lot of people can. I'm not going to do theoretical physics, but if you work at it, you can accomplish. It's all about putting in the time. Definitely. Putting in time in your office, in your studies, in your physical training, in your health. So effort equals results. Definitely. So after junior college, how did you get your start after chiropractic school? What was the first step for you? Did you want to open up your own practice right away, or did you work for somebody?
I worked with a guy for about 6 months, a real good guy. He was a real, what you would call a straight chiropractor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not a lot of deviation from just adjusting and subluxation, but for me, with my background, I felt that nutrition was important, that exercise was important, that how you thought was important. And BJ talked about all those too.
Yeah.
I mean, but he was a great guy, great adjuster, but he was more narrow in that scope. So I had to go somewhere else to be myself. And so that's what happened basically. And so I opened my own practice on my own in June of 1983 in Clinton, a 710 square foot office.
Wow.
And my wife was the receptionist.
Tiny little space, yeah. Starting off small.
Tiny little space. We were there about 2 years, and the office was growing. But, you're figuring it out. I did Renaissance seminars in 1976 with Joe Felicia and Guy Reekman when they did their flip charts for patient orientation. And then they came out with this big video deal. Have you heard about that? The
No.
Renaissance program, Peter Graves videos. We spent like $3,000 on VHS tapes that were patient intro, report of findings, and whatever. $3,000. But anyway, our office just really started to grow. We did a thing with that Renaissance recommended, doing a champagne reception, strangely enough. Invite a bunch of people. I had a connection through the Racket Center where I was a Nautilus instructor, and we just offered champagne and played the Peter Graves intro video, and we had like 70 people there, and they all signed up basically as new patients. So, you just put yourself out there, and in that office in Clinton for a couple years. And then I was riding my bicycle past where our office is now. And
yeah, you were telling me this. This is great.
I always wanted a home office. Again, I didn't write it down, but I always wanted one. I was riding by where our house is currently, and there was a plywood sign with spray painted lot for sale. I saw that. I hopped off the bike. I ripped the sign off the tree and rode home and then told Diane, my wife, hey, we're selling the house. We're going to build an office here. We don't know how it was going to happen, but we were doing it.
Yeah.
We sold our house and we had just enough money to buy the land. And so 30 years later, here we are. Just showing up. I mean, just staying fired up. I went to DEs early in my time frame. They were good. I mean, philosophically. And I always kept, though, honing my technique skill.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Yeah, you're very technique-oriented and based, and you're very thorough in SOT and Blair and Gonstead, and yeah, you can probably seen everything, and you could probably fix almost everything, too.
We just try to put you in a place like you do. I mean, nothing beats having your Atlas set, though. That's what I'll say.
Man, it's a powerful adjustment.
If I had to say, if there was only one thing, if I had 3 subluxations and one of them was Atlas, I would always say that trumps 99% of the time trumps everything. I took knee chest technique. I studied knee chest before I studied Blair. I also studied orthospinology, certified in that too. But Dr. Kale would say, people are going to ask you, he goes, why are you working on my neck when it's my low back? Yeah. And his simple reply was, well, in the Old West, they didn't hang a horse thief by the waist.
Very true. So many people, they think chiropractic is low back pain, neck pain, and that's it. And obviously, in your experience, you've probably seen so many things. What are some of the miracle things you've seen in your office? And big picture, what can chiropractic do for almost everybody?
Well, chiropractic, everybody has a starting point in their life when we see them as a new patient. But I also look at it as every day is a new starting point from visit to visit. So we just have to work with their starting points and tap in, correct the subluxation where it is, give the body a chance to heal itself. But one of the crazy things that happened a number of years ago was a lady in my office named Beulah Schuyler. And I always said, Beulah, you're going to make it to 100. Well, she didn't quite make it to 100. But one day she was in my office, and the way my office is set up, my rooms are in a row, and I just pass between the back and openings between the back of the rooms. People come in the front, down the hallway, and into the rooms. Well, anyway, I'm boogieing from room to room. And I go from room 1 to room 3 because that's where I had to go. And Beulah's in room 2. And I'm in room 3 working. And then all of a sudden I hear this go, blah, blah, blah. I go in there and I go, Beulah's freaking face down on the floor. She's 88. So I yelled at my receptionist at the time, Ann. I said, Ann, call 911. You want to do that? You got to do that. So I gently rolled her over. I could not detect a pulse, and I could not detect maybe the shallowest of breathing, but it was like, forget it. Maybe the tiniest, threadiest pulse you ever felt, but barely. I thought she had kicked it. But anyway, So before I was going to do CPR and mouth to mouth on old Buell, I said, I'm going to friggin' adjust her. So I just palpated and I just let her have it with a supine cervical move on her atlas. I don't know the listing. Who the hell cares? But anyway, at that point, she started to kick in with her breathing.
No way.
And her pulse started to pick up. And we had her stabilized in about 10 minutes and just lying there. And the ambulance came, did all that. Basically, I believe in that moment that chiropractic saved her life. I know a lot of people say how chiropractic saves lives. Well, I think in this instant, it did. And it definitely changes lives every day. But in this case, I didn't do anything. I just said, shit, I don't feel like putting my mouth on hers. I'm going to adjust her. So she perked up. She came back. They wound up doing a pacemaker, which she might not have needed. But
wow. I love how you just said, I didn't do anything. Like, you remove the interference. I'm always very weary of somebody that's like, I did that.
Right.
I got them better. It's like, no, you didn't.
No.
Well, you removed the interference. Yeah. And their body healed itself.
That is so right on. I mean, I know sooner now how scrambled eggs become eyeballs than how adjusting your... And the thing is, people think that it's this adjustment for this thing. We're taught that Merrick system, that nerve chart. We don't cure anything. We just remove that interference. And that takes skill. I mean, and a lot of guys their specificity is important, is all I can say.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Innate's really good at absorbing anything that's constructive because we are sensory beings and healing happens on a sensory level first. And innate is receptive to any constructive input. But if it's 100% constructive, you get 100% immediate constructive result. If it's 90% constructive, 10% not so great, whether it's nutrition, thoughts, or even an adjustment, that concussion of forces is going to have to be dealt with in a way that's not as pure. So it's kind of like baseball where you got to get the ball over the plate.
Yeah.
You can play with location a little bit and velocities, but you got to get that ball over the plate.
John, what are some other things you give your patients to do the subluxation or bone out of place, and you put everything, their nervous system's in alignment? What are some other things you recommend for people to help improve their health?
So many people, there's certain things. Everybody needs as Homo sapiens, and that's what I try to do. It's what do we all need as Homo sapiens? And you can listen to some of Chestnut's stuff about thoughts, movement, traumas, toxins, thoughts, basically, if we address that. But people need to drink more water. Bottom line, if you drink more water, you're going to make an impact in your life. And I suggest a 6-week average. If your average of drinking water is 1 glass, you average that for the last 6 weeks. Well, your goal for tomorrow is 2, not 8. You're doomed to fail if you try to jump to 8. I try to get people to, from a nutrition standpoint, just omega-3s, D3.
And so the omega-3s to decrease the inflammation in the body?
Yeah, decrease inflammation. It activates more platelets in your blood, slip and slide better, and it promotes vasodilation. As opposed to the omega-6 and 9s that are complementary, but we get way too many of the omega-6 and 9 fats in our diet, and they promote inflammation, promote vasoconstriction, and platelet clumping and aggregation. That whole taking an aspirin every day is a joke. Drink enough water, get enough good fats, and your blood viscosity, which is the big problem with the heart, will take care of itself. The greatest marketing in the world was St. Joseph's aspirin for children, as if St. Joseph blessed this aspirin and it's going to save your heart. I mean, that's the best marketing. Yeah. I mean, how can you go wrong? But other than that, we get them doing exercises, just even walking. Yeah. Yeah, I have different exercises with bands, but if I suggest to everyone, check out my Tai Chi videos that are on my website. Start moving outside of the planes of motion that is determined largely by your work. Yeah. Work determines how we move for a large, huge part of our life. And so we get confined into these planes of motion that are non-variate. So Tai Chi just moves you in ways that east meets west the best with Tai Chi in terms of spinal remodeling, restoring disc function. You know, once you activate the subluxation, once you correct the subluxation, restore more normal motion in that segment, you got to keep enhancing. Got to keep it moving, You got to keep it going. We're sensory beings.
How did you get into Tai Chi?
Well, I've taken a few hits ever since. I was born with forceps, toboggan accidents, motorcycles, over 100 rugby games, one you consider more of a higher volume practice for 30-some years. Things just started beating me up. Yeah. Just even in spite of terrific chiropractic care, I had to modify my lifestyle. Yeah. So I introduced Tai Chi. David Grantham, my teacher, is just phenomenal. I said, I got to do something different. So I just went there and it turns out that it's really, Tai Chi is the best thing, metadata analysis. It's the best thing for arthritic changes going on in the spine, and to help prevent them as far as exercise goes. Metadata analysis is the gold standard for research. You plug in different filters and Tai Chi keeps coming up. Balance, afferent.
What is the Tai Chi doing that's getting such great results here? Because I literally don't know. I don't know anything about it really. I've heard phenomenal things. I just really don't know much about it.
We teach the fundamental warm-up, stretching, and spinal qigong, which is spinal qigong means movement, but it's spinal waving in a horizontal plane, but also transverse plane. But this is the therapeutic elements of Tai Chi we do before we work on the actions. So Tai Chi is a martial art that's practiced in a more meditative way. That's how it was brought to the United States. Although with my teacher, we always get into the martial context because that gives meaning to what you're doing. But the deal is it's a therapeutic element of stretching, and it's dynamic stretching. You're breathing, you're moving. It's not static. Yoga's more static. I don't want to knock anybody who does yoga. It's fantastic too. But Tai Chi is more dynamic, more movement. You're moving in rhythmic, wave-like patterns, and everything is a wavelength. And so there's different wavelengths of motion you're doing, and you're bringing motion in different planes. The afferentation is the word, sensory feedback, afferentation. You light up your brain like a Christmas tree with good energy with Tai Chi. That's provided the joints are functioning properly, and that's our goal in chiropractic on an elemental level, is to make sure these joints work properly and the joint receptors can transmit what's called proprioceptive energy to the brain, which is constructive, as opposed to nociceptive energy to the brain, which is noxious. The root word of nociception is noxious or toxic. They both travel different pathways and activate different parts of the brain. Nociception, if you have a subluxation, you're getting nociceptive feedback from that joint. That goes to fear and anxiety centers in your brain that is not good for you. When you adjust someone, they feel good because now their brain's being bathed in proprioceptive energy. And that activates your hippocampus, learning, left prefrontal lobe of the brain. So it's a cascade of energy that's undeniable. The chiropractic adjustment, though, Tai Chi without the adjustment is not as effective. I believe the adjustment is paramount. And so the Tai Chi just keeps you moving and lights up your brain.
Absolutely. And even, I'm glad you said that too, because a lot of people will come into our offices saying, I've done acupuncture, I've done the physical therapy, I've done everything under the sun and nothing has worked. And then you remove the subluxation, you get their nervous system functioning again, the acupuncture starts to work, the physical therapy starts to work, everything starts to work again.
Yes, because you're going to another depth of physiologic effect with the adjustment. Stretching or PT only works within the range of motion that's become established for you. And in these people who are going to PT, that range of motion is pathologic. It's insufficient. Yeah. So when we activate the motion through the adjustment, because you're exceeding their normal range of motion, you're going past a stretch, then you're releasing those joints to a whole nother level. Well, now the exercise will work. And now the acupuncture will work. I mean, if there's a bony osseous interruption or meningeal dural tension interruption to the flow of energy, you can stick needles in there all you want. It's not going to undo that torque subluxation. Yeah. I firmly believe that.
It's locked,
You got to free that up. It's elemental. What we do is elemental. It's foundational. And that's what's so great. People want to be well in a time frame that they think they should.
Yeah.
They have no clue. Yeah. There's a germination period for sickness and disease, unbeknownst to the conscious mind. How we live our life breaks us down, but the conscious mind doesn't recognize that problem until there's significant enough damage to warrant a symptom.
Yeah.
Conversely, healing is unbeknownst to the conscious mind because it's got a germination period too. Yeah. As we do constructive things once more, germination period is putting roots down.
Yeah.
And then you get the sprout.
Yeah.
So we have to allow that germination period.
Definitely. True healing takes time. It takes a long time. Yeah.
Symptom relief is different. I'll take symptom relief. I don't like to hurt, believe me, but we want to transcend that.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I suggest to people that the only way you feel better is because you're healing.
Yeah.
We're not just giving you something to change how you feel.
Yeah.
You're actually functioning better.
Definitely. A lot of my patients have the concussions and the brain injuries, and they're looking for that one adjustment, and they're looking for it to feel better. And sometimes we do get a couple of those cases where you remove the interference and they feel better right away. But a lot of the times with the brain injuries and everything, it's a grueling, you feel the healing. It goes up, you'll feel good for 3 days, and you'll feel bad. Up and down, up and down. And when you do come out of it, you're a better person for it, but true healing definitely does take some time.
It's true because we tend to forget that in our adaptability, we're pulling from one reservoir. of energy, one reservoir of capacity. We don't have a reservoir of capacity for work and another one for raising children, another one for playing rugby, and another capacity for working all day in your office. You're pulling from one regenerative reservoir of capacity. So your body, the brain, innately is going to meter that energy where it needs to go most immediately for you to be alive in the moment.
Yeah.
It might not get to your neck.
Yeah.
Maybe it's handling something in your liver.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, you're right.
So we don't know. The brain's like a conductor of a symphony. It's going to meter the energy where it's needed most.
Yeah.
So we don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
We just know that if our findings clear, that person's going in the right directions.
Absolutely. I wanted to pick your brain about something else because I have one patient that he has just such a high-level stress job that I just him on Saturday. I saw him yesterday, and he was still holding his adjustment, but the level of tension in his neck, and he was just so tight. I was trying to explain to him, like, yes, we're removing the interference here, but you have to change something at home or in your own life because no, you should not have this much tension in your neck after 3 days. And the guy commutes to New York City back and forth. Yeah. And there's got to be something done to just alleviate that part of his life too, because obviously we can remove the subluxation, but it's also the patient's duty to do as much as they can as well. So if you could just touch on that, what you said, just to alleviate stress in people's lives.
And it's like, what are they doing once they leave? I mean, I had a guy, local attorney. We cleared him out beautifully. He had severe sciatica down the leg, into the shin, at L2, 3, 4, all that stuff. He got adjusted to see. He cleared. He went home and cut 13 acres of grass on his zero turn. And he couldn't move the next day. And he's wondering why. We have to, as we get older, understand we have to be kinder to our bodies. So I would say the big thing, like with that guy in New York, make sure you get enough water. Because if he's under emotional stress, his muscles are firing. And the metabolic byproducts of that muscular response, he might be dehydrated. It's not getting out there. Minerals, calcium lactate, it could be great for him. Also, doing the Tai Chi, the stretching with the Tai Chi will break up a lot of things for him. I mean, I do it every day, but you can't get in his head. He might just be a super whatever dude.
He's a really great guy, really nice guy, but I think he's a little walled off to
other stuff.
Anything,
that he has to do to help himself. Unfortunately, we're educated that everything, it happens in a pill or a drug. I mean, and it's crazy. There was an article today just on an injectable statin kind of drug now, and it's $14,000 a month to take it. This is if the other two drugs, the oral ones, don't work. So you just wonder what people's expectations are. I would maybe talk to him just like, what are your expectations? And I said, we have to help each other out here. The omega-3s would be big for him, just to make sure he's got them. But nothing is more paramount than setting that atlas. The trapezius has a dual innervation. It has a spinal accessory nerve and spinal nerve innervation. The spinal accessory has a subconscious component to it. So that what happens is like subconsciously when we're stressed, we elevate our shoulder girdle, correct? Right? We do that all the time. People come in my office and say, all my stress is right here. I go, you and 9 billion others. Okay. Well, it's because of that dual innervation. You can consciously do this, or as well, when you're confronted with a stressful situation, you do this. You shrug. Yeah. That's because your shoulder blades are bony plates. And when you shrug your shoulders, you're bringing those bony plates into an area where it can protect your neck from an injury, from getting bit by an animal or a sword coming down on your neck. It's a subconscious response. So what happens is when stress is perceived, lastly in the conscious mind, firstly in the primitive brain, then the emotional brain. By the time it gets to the conscious mind and you're all ticked off and you want to kill somebody, you realize that, okay, this isn't a life-threatening situation, mellow out. But the conscious mind is the last to know. You've already reacted. So how do you slow everything down? How do you quell the anxiety or the stressful response? Quell it enough. We almost have to prepare for life as it is going to be stressful. And you almost have to go into it with an awareness that, hey, I can't let myself freak out all the time.
Absolutely. And that's how you counteract that. Being aware. Yeah.
You got to set the conscious mind up because the primitive brain, the reptilian brain, and the limbic system react before the brain can realize it. When somebody cuts you off at a light, what you really should be doing is punching them out at the next stoplight.
Yeah.
I don't mean that. You know, that's how we're wired. Anyway, so water, I would say water for that guy. some simple Tai Chi. Even if you get them some bands and just have them do shrugs, have them do some horizontal rows with a band. Whether you're into exercise and want to do that or not, but activating motion outside planes of usual movement. There's the quote of the day. Activating motion outside of the normal plane or extent of movement.
Definitely. Yeah.
Motion greases the rails of health. Auto-regulation, the autonomics, everything. Your autonomics are regulated through motion. Yeah. Parasympathetic, sympathetic balance. One of my workouts is called a heart rate variability workout. Yeah. That's a whole nother talk. Most people are biased towards their fight or flight side of the autonomic system, the sympathetics. Everybody wants to be a tough guy now in the gym. They're doing CrossFit. They're doing all this stuff. Everybody thinks you got to wind up in a puddle of puke to get results. Well, you don't. Everybody's way too biased to the sympathetics. So what heart rate variability training is you sit for 5 minutes, then you exert in some form for a minute, then you sit for 5 again. So under exertion, you're parasympathetic biased. Under rest, you're parasympathetic bias. Under exertion, you go sympathetic. Wow. And you create a waveform with your heart rate response. So the waveform, it's called wave training. So as we rest, we're here. Let's say I'm 56 beats a minute. I'll exert to 120. I'll stop completely. I don't just slow down. I stop my exertion completely and allow my heart to recover. And how many cycles are you doing? 5 minutes. Like anywhere between 3 to 6. 3 times to 4 times a week. You could elevate your heart any means you want. I do it with a stationary bike because I can hit high levels of output without injuring a knee, or it's not like do 500 watts for brief periods. And anyway, heart rate variability training.
So you're saying that balances out the nervous system because we're too sympathetic, we're too fight and flight, and that's going to just bring it down into a rest and calming. Okay.
Well, see, the adjustment reboots the system. Yeah. You got Sinod out there talking about heart rate variability and all that. He's talking about that a lot. Well, the chiropractic adjustment reboots the system. Similarly to how your cars learn transmissions learn how you drive. So they learn shift points. If you're an aggressive driver, they shift at different points. If you're a mellow driver, they shift at different points. Yeah. So the car learns how you drive. But the mechanic, you went for a tune-up, he can press a button and neutralize it. So that's kind of what the adjustment does. If you're sympathetic biased, and you get your atlas set, you're going to reboot the system and autonomics will settle down. That's why people feel mellow. Yeah. Right? And if they're lethargic, it's going to have the opposite effect. Yeah. But the key thing is they go back into a world and lead their life and they're on full throttle all the time again. Absolutely. What this does is remaps the system. So you reboot the system with the adjustment. You remap the system through your lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So the remapping occurs with how you live your life. And if you remap it in a healthier way, you'll need less rebooting. Mm-hmm. We're always going to need some rebooting, and that's why we'll never be out of business. Yeah. But they'll do better if they can remap their system. Don't just be here. When people go to the gym and they do a spin class at 8 o'clock at night under artificial lights, when circadian rhythm-wise they should be coming down, and they're cranking at 150 beats a minute for an hour straight with little or no variation, they're just duplicating their already stressful life at a higher level of stress. Yeah. So this gives you a cohesive response in your autonomic nerve system as it's reflected relative to your efforts and recovery. Now, is that more done with cardio or can you do that with weight training? You want to do it with squats? You put a barbell on your back. You could do it freestanding squat. You could do it any means you want to bring up the heart rate and stop. Yes. And repeat. Yep. Bring it up, and then stop right there, 5 minutes, and then you can do something again. Gotcha. That's really interesting. I didn't know that. That's cool. So an example of my workout would look like this. I'll show you quick, just so you have an example in your head. It looks like. This is the workout I did today. That's what the graph looks like. That's amazing. I'm going to try that out tonight. Okay. So that's what it looks like. But anyway, that's another thing that we can get our patients doing that reboots their system. And it's a global response physiologically. So, Dr. John, anything else you'd like to touch on or say about just chiropractic or healing or anything in general? Well, I think we as chiropractors, great to hang out with you. I mean, you're fired up, you got that energy of youth, man. You got your whole life ahead of you. It's just, I'm really stoked to get to know you. Yeah. And I think we need to hang out with people who do things like we do because people don't always understand us because we come from a different point. But I embrace everything. But I say the main thing is have a little morning ritual where you take time and to reflect, do some affirmations in the morning, have a good nutritional way about things in the morning. Ask for referrals in your office. I do what's called a 4-card Monday in my office.
I love that. I've been doing that. After you told me that, it works.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, it works. The law of averages.
They're going to come in. They're seeds.
Yeah. This will work in a lot of businesses. Tell everybody what you told me.
Well, this is from my good friend Fred Schofield as well. I probably say I've come up with nothing original. I have a hard enough time learning what's already been done, but I pass things on. But
yeah,
4-card Monday, it's almost a way of confirming that you believe in what you do. You go out of your way to ask people for a referral, but it's not that. It's basically you're helping people to help other people. They have to look at it that way. So here's the deal. There's a parable of the sower, Mark 4 in the Bible. There's a couple other versions, but basically it goes like this. The seed sower was sowing seeds, and one seeds landed upon the path. The birds came and ate them up. Some seeds landed amongst the weeds and the thorns, and when they tried to grow, they got choked out. Some seeds landed amongst the sandy or rocky soil, couldn't put their roots down, and when tough times came, they got washed away or dried up and died. But one seed lands on fertile soil and multiplies 30, 60, and 100-fold. So you're just sowing seeds. And there's a germination period for everything, whether it's your practice, whether it's your own health, your family. Just keep sowing constructive seeds. Just having fun in your office, man. Have some fun. Yeah. Be yourself. I don't do anything too scripted. I never did a script, I don't think, in my life. Just let yourself come through. That's what I would suggest. And my office took off, again, about this inhibition thing, and I'll leave it at this. It's around this time of year, and it was about 29 years ago. We were at a certain level of seeing people, but I wanted to serve more people. So on my front of my house, in front of my office, I took orange spray paint, and I just put ADIO, above, down, inside out. And I just said, screw it, I'm spray painting that on my house. But only I got it, because everybody else, all my patients thought somebody vandalized my house. It was around Halloween. So it worked for me because my office jumped like 150 patient visits a week within 4 months. Something kicked in inside of me. And that's all that matters. They don't have to get it. As long as you're not hurting anybody and something works for you, go on it. Heed those hunches and don't take no for an answer.
That's beautiful, yeah. Dr. John, where are you located and what's your website? Where can people find you?
I am in Clinton, New Jersey, practicing 37 years. My website is jmurraychiropracticnj.com. It's very long, laborious, but that's jmurraychiropracticnj.com. Got a home office out in the middle of nowhere, kind of. But once you find it,
beautiful office, yeah. I thought I was lost. I thought I took a wrong turn there because I was coming out there. I was like, oh, this does not look like it's like a strip mall or an office building. And then right in front, it's got your practice name and everything, and it's beautiful. So, Dr. John, thank you for coming on. This was one of my favorite episodes. I appreciate it. And just thank you for just helping me out when I need it, and really appreciate you.
Thanks, brother. The feeling's mutual.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. My private practice is located in New Jersey at Montclair Upper Cervical Chiropractic. If you have any additional questions about today's podcast, other episodes, or any questions about Blair Upper Cervical Chiropractic in general, feel free to visit my website at drkevinpecca.com or subscribe to my YouTube channel at Dr. Kevin Pecca. Hope you enjoyed the show. Cheers.